Hi, welcome to the Daiku Podcast and Daiku Game Pitch. My name is Gary Snow, and joining me today is Spiros Drakatos, the creative mind behind DIMDAY RED, the TTRPG that pits players in the last days of humankind. Spiros, welcome.
Hello.
First of all, I have to say that your game is absolutely spectacular. The production value of it is like off the charts. So, for those at home watching us, this is the comic book that comes with the package, and here's the original zine that came with the package, and here's the game that came with the package, and it's got like cards, it's got character sheets. It is just, I was kind of blown away. I don't get blown away very often, but I was blown away by the quality of the work you're doing here, and I'm excited to dive into what the second zine is going to look like. But before we get started, as always, Spiros, tell us, how did you get started in this crazy little hobby of ours?
I believe I started a bit differently than most people. This came up during the first lockdown about 3 years ago, when we were all sitting inside our homes and we had nothing to do. And I came up with the idea of the concept, the main setting of the story. Um, and from that, I thought this idea, I want to do something with it. So I could write something, I could write a book, or one thought was to create a video game about it. But in the end, it ended up in being a role-playing game, because it excites me that people who, of course, find the setting interesting, will go into it and make their own stories than just me telling a story about it.
So, how did the original idea come up as far as DIMDAY RED and the overall idea and the genesis of like the setting itself?
Yeah, the main concept of DIMDAY RED is that the Earth has fallen off its orbit and it's going towards the sun. So it's getting hotter and hotter, and in 52 years, they will be so close to the sun that they will burn and they will all die. And they can't leave the planet because of the solar storms. Their electronics are fried. They have no electronics technology. So they can't just go into a rocket and leave. Although they tried to do that in the first years while this was happening. So yeah, this idea that the world will end in a specific time, and people know about that, and they have to choose what they will do with it. That was the main concept.
And we talked a little bit before we started recording, and I have to say, when I mentioned the production quality of this and how blown away I was, you are essentially a one-person team doing all this. So don't, like, when you see it, this is not like, Wizards of the Coast, where they have like, somebody
Yeah,
that's just in charge of this little thing and that little thing and this little thing. I mean,
yeah,
you have people that are obviously part of the project, but I mean, this is DIY to the 10th degree of quality.
yeah. Thank you.
So what your background in particular, just tell us a little bit about like how you've developed all these skills over time.
I have been a designer for most of my life by now. I have a branding agency. So I have a specific skill set that can take almost anything and present it in the most interesting and appropriate way. That's what I do.
You're like Liam
So
Neeson. Liam Neeson for role-playing games. You have a specific skill set,
yeah.
like taken.
So imagine somebody in my position when we work for our project. Most of the time you work for others, but when you work for yourself, you put all this in the best possible use you can imagine. And the outcome, yes, I believe what happens is that often at shows and events, people who meet me for the first time and see the project for the first time, they tell me one thing, that this looks like a product of love. And this makes me very happy because that's exactly that. That's something I really care about. That's my baby. It's something I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into. But for that, for the people to see and acknowledge, it's very important, I believe.
And I don't say this lightly. Like I suspect, video game designers are going to be knocking on your door here to going, hey, how can we transition this to a video game and then Netflix series? So I think you got lightning in a bottle here, myself. But before we get ahead of ourselves and turn you into a multimillionaire, remember us little people. After all, we all need jobs from you for when you're there.
I tell these people in the events. I tell them one day you will say you will see the show on Netflix, and you will say, "I saw this guy in that event X years ago, and he was just by himself."
Yeah, well, don't forget about us little people. So let's talk about your zine.
Yeah.
So here's the first one that came with the Kickstarter, and so and once again, and once we talked a little bit prior to the start of our show, your Kickstarter, in my opinion, based upon the quality of it, it was fairly humble. Like you were successful in funding, you had a lot of really good backers, but given the quality of what you produced out of that Kickstarter, amazing. So that was like 12,000 euros, which was great. Lots of people would be happy with that. Now that I like a slow burn as far as like getting caught up with this world, but this was the first zine. I'm trying to hold it right so that everybody can see it. And so tell us about the second zine that you're making.
Okay, the second zine expands on the on the area of the setting. We will see in the next slides. And the main idea is that because the previous campaign and the outcome and the bundle that came out made a lot of people happy and excited, I wanted to create something that could stand to the same level, the same quality, and if possible to surpass it. So that's what I'm trying to do with this next zine. You will see, we will see in the next slides how this goes. One thing
And
I want to mention here, because we see it on screen, is that when the campaign starts, for the first 48 hours, there will be free dice for every physical backer and campaign.
so the link to follow along on Kickstarter is in the description. So make sure you do that if you want to especially get in on that first 48 hours and get the free dice for all backers. So tell us a little bit about the world that our characters are inhabiting.
Okay, so as I was saying before, Earth is heading towards the sun. So it's getting hotter and hotter. And after some years, because at the time that we play, it's been about 98 years after it left its orbit. For 98 years, it's traveling closer to the sun. It's a slow, process. So every year it's getting a little hotter and a little hotter. But at this point, it's really hot. The polar ice has melted. So most of Northern Europe and the Northern Hemisphere in general is underwater. Something like that will happen. This map, it's an exaggerated version of a map I found online from a survey, not survey, research that was done about this. So yeah, the rich and developed countries of the Northern Hemisphere has once again moved southwards and recolonized the South. So new powers have been created, and we play in Pan Europa, which is the new Europe, and Pan Europa has recolonized Africa. So yeah,
Okay, and the main city, Neu
yeah,
Bonn, is located in the location of that Cairo once it
yeah.
had.
Uh, Neu Bonn is where Cairo is today, and it's the capital of Pan Europa, and it's the home of the most powerful of the 8 families that rule Pan Europa. Because one thing that would happen if we knew that the world is going to end at any specific time, it would be that social structures would crumble. I mean, what's the point? But of course, because the rich and the powerful people of the world, even if the world was ending, they wouldn't just leave their power. So what happens is that the people who were behind the scenes all this time have come to the front. There's no democracy. There are just totalitarian regimes around the world, and one of them is in Neu Bonn. And we find the family of the Dietrichs, and they rule Neu Bonn, and they control the massive solar uh, factories that are based in Sahara. In the world of Neu Bonn, the currency is electricity. They don't have money. They trade in batteries. So electricity is everything.
And here's some other maps, and it's
Yeah.
definitely got. How much did you take from Cairo and kind of plop it into
No, this
what it
is
would?
the actual map of Cairo,
Oh, okay.
which I have redrawn and worked on that.
So
But
tell.
if you go a slide back, which is
Yeah.
an important part of the setting, is that one thing that has happened is that there has been created a system of castes. So we have the lower castes and the upper castes. The upper castes work for the system, for the conglomerates, which control everything, control the wealth, and the lower castes are forced to live inside a wall. So there is a very high wall, and inside it live the lower castes, and they can't leave from there. They have to be in there, and the upper castes live around it. It's a bit different of what's happening usually, where the richer people live inside the walls and the rest live outside. It's kind of the opposite. So yeah, this is the catharsis wall we see now, and of course, when we play in DIMDAY RED, we belong to the lower caste, so we have to live inside the wall, and the area inside the wall is called the center, and the center has 5 districts. So each district has its own zine. The first zine was about the Faust district, which is a relatively rich district in the center, and this one it's about Fleisch District, which is much harsher and poorer, and things are a bit darker there.
So talk to us about what kind of characters you can make here.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we have castes. The castes are the dirt are the lowest possible caste you can belong to. They're considered in practice they are non-humans for the system. It's like they don't exist. And then there are the plebis, who are people who have some kind of job, and they can live in a way that it's not in the street. They have homes and they have things to do, but of course their situation inside the wall is very harsh. And then there are the collars, which are the red collars and the black collars, which are employees of the system in various levels. And there's the luminaries, who are the people who belong to the families, up to the fourth degree. So these are the four castes. And then there are factions inside the center, and there are mutations. And as players, you can either you can belong to a faction, or you can be a mutant. And depending on what you have, your special powers. For example, the mutants, the marble eyes, have all of the mutations have to do with some kind of cancer. So cancer that comes from this, the solar radiation affects these people, and depending of their affection, they get some kind of power, which is always in the end fatal. So the more you use it, at the end it will kill you.
Sorry, I probably got ahead of myself here, but
yeah, no problem. So for one example is marble eyes, they have some tumor in their eyes, and this gives them the ability to see things behind. In effect, they see the thermal trace of living things, so they can see people behind walls or anything. And some of them are oracles, and they can see visions and see the future, but not in a very specific way. And another example is the hardskins. They have tumors on their body, which they can control. So they can they work like tanks. They can create shields, and they even can create projectiles that can throw parts of their tumors. But at the end, these tumors grow and grow, and they cover the whole body. And in the end, they die like statues. They just petrify in place. One example from the factions are the old boys. This is like a clan of men. It's only men, and they have the knowledge of machines. So their purpose is to learn and to keep every details of how machines work. So these are crafters, and they can create stuff. Every machine that exists in the game is analog. They don't have any electronic parts. So in a way, they are more evolved because they have the knowledge, but their machines are in the level of early 19th century, about where they had machines, but no advanced electronics or anything.
So this sets up like all between the casts and the factions and the mutations. It sets up a world for the characters to kind of jump into and muck around, so to speak, where they can push, pull, try to get out of the that caste system and blow it up. Am I wrong?
My idea is that one catchphrase from the game is, "What would you do if the world ended in 52 years?" Which that's how long they have. And my idea from the start was that when you say to people now, "What would you do if someone told you that the world would end in 52 years?" Many people say, "I would go outside and smash everything, burn, I don't know, the system." And if you think about it, as adults, most of us, more or less, 5-10 years, we have about 50 years to live. Yeah, and we know that we're going into a certain end, but we don't go out to burn everything. Most of us, at least. And just because we know we're going to die, we decide how we want to spend these years. And some of us work, and some of us fall in love, or whatever. And that's the actual. That's my contribution to humankind. This concept of a game. What would you do if I put you into this world? Yeah, for example, now in the second zine, you play into a very big tower. It's a vertical slum, actually. And at the end of it, it's a love story. It's a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. And in other levels of the tower, people are just slaughter each other. There's blood everywhere, but uh, there are people who choose differently. So that's what I wanted to do.
And just the interplay between it all, it
Yeah,
sounds fun. And it's based upon Powered by the Apocalypse. Maybe walk us through why you chose that, and maybe how your moves kind of work within that framework.
Okay. The basic thing I had in mind when I started researching systems was that I wanted the narrative and the storytelling to be in front. I didn't want the mechanics to be very elaborate and very, important to the actual gameplay. Now, of course, I understand there are people who enjoy these elaborate systems. Of course, uh, that's good for them. But for my game, I wanted people to more be drawn into the story than actually have to, calculate a lot of charts and stuff. From the systems that are more narrative friendly, I chose Powered by the Apocalypse because I like the idea of the moves. I like this. That should I explain it for people who?
No, I think most of our folks that watch this kind of understand the Powered by the Apocalypse and the moves that kind of up. But did you have any kind of moves that you went, oh, this is very unique to my game that I need to, like, how it played into the setting?
I tried to, for the moves, for the basic moves, at least, to have some moves that had to do with connections, not so much with action, but how you connect with people and how you interact with them, not just go and kill everybody or whatever. And that's what if you see there are moves like unwind or open your mind, that's they're more spiritual, not so much as in action. That's what because we will see in the next slides, one of the core mechanics has to do with human existence and human character and all that.
I should mention you're using D8s.
Yeah. I'm using D8s because I'm using the idea of the 7 deadly sins and the 7 heavenly virtues as part of what I was describing, and so I wanted the number 7. And when I tried some dice and tried the 7 sided dice, and I didn't like them very much, so I went with the 8s and used the 0 as part of the,
Oh,
so
okay,
it's
cool.
0 to 7, which is fun because when people roll 2 zeros, there's this thing that's called the holy mess, which something really terrible happens.
And before we started recording, I mentioned, let me find it here. Boy, you gave a lot of stuff in this starter box. Boy, I keep going through it. I did a video on TikTok and Instagram Reels, and if you want to kind of just check it out, it's pretty good. Not my video, the video's but the quality of it. But so here's the character sheets, and it's in a pamphlet form, and you can also download the PDFs of them so that you don't mark up these beautiful cards. And I was asking Spiros, like, who in their right mind would actually destroy these character sheets? So it's nice that you have the PDF, but you talk about handing them out at conventions and such.
Yeah, as a designer, I print stuff all the time. So for me, that's just another piece of paper with some cool graphics on it. So I'm not really attached to them. I don't mind writing or giving them, but people seem to respect them.
Well, they're really nice sheets, and it kind of has everything laid out based upon your character type, and really walks it through. So, how fast can people get up and running if they have a basic knowledge of PBTA and the kind of the way it works? How fast can they make a character?
I believe it's really straightforward. It's really fast. I have one thing I'm seeing as this evolves is that there's a difference from the system I have imagined and created to play adventures and campaigns, and for one shots because in one shots, some of the mechanics you just don't have the time to evolve and utilize at the end. So you don't really uh, make the most of them. One such thing is if you go a couple of slides ahead. Yeah, these are the Moribus, and the next slide is the Tenet cards. And what happens is that the Moribus cards are parts of our psyche, parts of our character. So you get them, you gather them in your adventure, either by doing things or other specific situations, or the DM will give you one at some point. And then when you get them at the end, you will end up earning one of the seven deadly sins or seven heavenly virtues. This will define your character. They will give you more powers, but they will make you who you want to be into the game. So yeah, in one shots, for example, you don't have the time to actually build up to some sin or virtue. So we use another mechanic, which it's the original sin, where you get one sin at the start of the game, and that's how you will play with.
Well, the cards are fabulous, and they come on this little. How'd you come up with it? There's like a little elastic bands here so that they can
Yeah,
fit
yeah.
in the box.
I wanted to package this in a flat way because I wanted to send them in a flat package. But I also wanted people to have a deck, to have some kind of box to have them as a deck. And that's the elastic thing is that if you close them like that, it becomes a deck.
Well, a very ambitious project for your first time out of the gate, but you stuck the landing on it, so incredible. And it also, like I mentioned, it comes with the comic to kind of get you into the mood of the game and kind of the understanding of the story behind it. It comes with a nice cardboard box to kind of hold everything together. It's got a wax seal on it. It's got all the cards. It's got stickers. It's got the original Nodus Zine, as you can see there. Just everything that you want to kind of get thrown into this world, and just absolutely high production values, good quality. Like I mentioned, blown away. So I'm pumping your tire so much here, Spiros. It's, but
Yeah,
you did a
yeah.
great job.
Thank you, thank you. No, it was something very conscious. I really wanted to do just that. Um, I wanted many times people will see something that's really well made or really interesting and exciting, but it will be really, uh, really expensive. So I wanted to give people this idea that they would get something that it's not okay. It's not cheap, but it's not a $150 whatever. And in that they could get all these things, all this value, which of course has some use. It's not all just decoration. One guy in an event came to me and said, I bought the collector's editions, what we see here, and it came, and when I opened it, it was like Christmas. It was like Christmas came, and it made me really happy because that's exactly what was going for, you know.
Priestwort. That's my favorite German word. What does that mean?
I don't know what's that.
But
I don't think I have used it. I have used a lot of German words because the Dietrichs are a German family, and
yeah,
they Neu Bonn, of course, is a German. It's not a German city because the idea is that it's a very mix and match world. There are a lot of European and African kinds of people inside, especially inside the world. But
so it sounds like the definition is it's a good ratio between cost and product, or it's not cheap but worth it. So you hit that sweet spot, maybe just like awesome quality.
yeah, yeah. This year I'm going to produce in China, so this will have some benefits. I believe. I have the experience because from my agency, often clients work with China and they create things there. They produce things there. So if you get a nice, a good quality factory company,
Mm-hmm.
and they produce these things, I believe the outcome would be even higher than the last one, because the first campaign, the first bundle, it was produced digitally because I didn't really know how many copies I would sell. It was my first, so I couldn't mass produce. So a lot of the things you have in your hands, I have cut and put together myself, which is a good thing because it has this personal, care, and but it has little mistakes and imperfections.
Well,
Um,
I love to see the blood of the creators in the book, so that's good to see. And then this cutaway map with the old Zeppelin on the top of it—that's pretty cool. Tell us about that.
yeah, this will be the main map for the mini adventure that will be included in this zine. Um, so this is Hawkwood Tower. It's an vertical slum. About 150,000 people live there, and they live like mice on top of each other. As I was saying before, you can find like everything in there, from people who really don't care about anything, and it just if you cross into their territory, they just kill you. Or people who try to teach others and teach the children and produce you know, people who can actually offer something. Um, that's what I really want to do with this adventure, to put you in a micro world where you can choose your path, and depending on your path, you can choose your fate in a way. And what we see here is the scavenger box, as I call it. It will be a box that it will be available in the collector's edition, this year's higher tier. And it is designed in a way that can fit a lot of stuff that even from the previous year, if you had the decks and all that, and stuff that's gonna come in the future. So it's like a put them all together thing.
And if people back on this current zine quest, zine, which launches on February 1st, so it's Thursday, can they do an add-on of the original game with the first zine and all the cards and decks and stuff like that?
Yes, they can. And what I have done, because I wanted the second zine, it's a bit of super production. It will have like 68 pages A4 size, and will have the expanding map, cover map, and all that. So I wanted the first zine to catch up to that a bit. So I will offer the plus version of the Nodus one, the first zine, which will also have an unfolding cover. It will be the world map, and then it will have extra pages and extra stuff. So people can, even people who bought the previous one might find it interesting to get the whole thing.
Well, you have put together like a very interesting world, high production quality values. I'm sure it's going to be a big success and part of Zine Quest. And you've already got the fact that you are a project that we love. And how did you find out about that?
By asking around. I have achieved most of what I have because I was, as I was telling you before, I just landed into this industry 3 years ago. Not even 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when I started producing stuff. I have started working on the project 3 years ago, but the first stuff came out about a year after. So nobody knew me, and I didn't really know anybody. So what I was doing is I found one person, and then I asked them, "Can you introduce me to somebody else?" And then when I got there, I said, "Okay, could you point me to some direction?" And that's yeah.
Well, like I said, it's fantastic that you put this together. Once again, all the links will be in the description for how we can find you and get follow you on Kickstarter, so that when you launch, you can get access to that first 48 hours and get the free dice and all those kind of goodies that come along with it. And I just want to say, Spiros, thanks for coming on the show. Fantastic job. Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing how successful you can make this.
Thank you, Gary.
And if you are a game designer like Spiros and you don't know who to reach out to, guess who you can reach out to? Game Pitch Gary. Go to daikugames.com/gamepitch and let me know what you're making. Because if you're an indie game designer, that's who I want to support on here. And when you go there, make sure that you tell them Game Pitch Gary sent you.
Hey friends, are you looking for a game that is not Dungeons or Dragons? Well, we got exactly what you need at Daiku Game Pitch. We got zines, we got OSR, we got adventures. But wait, there's more. We got solo games, we got journaling games, we even got card games and dice games. Oh hell, I don't even know what kind of game this is, but we got it. And if you visit us in the next 2 minutes, you're gonna get all the Zine Quest, Zine Months, Itch Fund, and Backer Kits Kickstarters that you can handle. Visit us at www.daikugames.com gamepitch.com and tell them Game Pitch Gary sent ya.